I should have been a cowboy. I should have learned to rope ride.
Okay, hold on. First off, man, Teton Ridge bought Cowboy Channel. Did you see that?
Bro, that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I kind of reading through some of the news articles that I saw. Honestly, I think it's going to be huge. They have some distribution agreements with like big broadcasting companies, man, like Fox channels, the Days and Sports apps, like what my friends use to watch hockey. I like rodeo potentially might be on those platforms now, man. This could be huge.
Man, this is unbelievable. It could be huge. I'd be very interested to know how much they paid for it.
Yeah.
That was something they left out of the deal. I wonder why. Like, I thought that was going to be public, but yeah, man, I think it's only good for rodeo. I think it's only good for the industry. I see a lot of growth. I see a lot of opportunity for rodeo to become more mainstream every single day. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I do too, man. And I think something else that is going to be awesome is our next guest. We're about to chat with Dalton Massey, man, the guy going into the NFR #1, hot off of another Canadian title up there in the Great White North. This guy's a beauty.
It's funny because we always talk about in the rodeo world that you never pick a fight with the bulldoggers.
Facts.
If you're gonna fight anybody, make sure they tie down rope, they heel,
Bull ride.
Yeah, like these are the big boys of rodeo. It's unbelievable when you see the pack of steer wrestlers and their height and weight. These are the heavyweights. Talking about the Mike Tyson fight that just happened over the weekend. What a letdown!
Yeah.
Right? Did you watch it?
I did, yeah. I logged on like as they were doing the intros in the ring. I got on just in time, man, and it was something else.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It's funny because like we forget the guy is 58 years old, but I was expecting him to come out there and be like Iron Mike, man, like the ear biting, like dead. Like I'm like, if he lands one on this kid, he's gonna be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life eating baby food. But guess what? The guy's 58 years old and got bad knees, I guess.
Yeah, his age definitely showed a little bit, but man, he did connect with Jake a couple times with a couple good ones, and it kind of showed you that, you couldn't have mess up in any way because he would still connect with you, and man, yeah, he's got lights out mitts on him, like it would be bad.
Anyways, we can't leave Dalton Massey waiting, so let's get at it.
Here we go, Dalton Massey. Thanks for hopping on with us. What are you doing? Where are you at? We see you're in the old truck cab office. We love to see it.
Yeah, in the truck cab office. I'm in Clovis, California.
That's amazing. What's first of all, thanks for being on the show with us, buddy. It's so nice that you made time. You guys are all getting ready for the NFR.
Yeah.
Thanks for making time to be here with us. My first question is exactly about that. We're in one of the most important periods of the season for professional cowboys as they get ready for the Super Bowl of our sport, the NFR National Finals Rodeo. What does that prep look like for you? What do you do during these days as you get ready for your second NFR?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's kind of crunch time. We're getting down to the last week of practice or whatever. But I went to the Canadian finals, and then our circuit finals was a week after that. And then I went to that Hondo rodeo last week. So it was a little bit different prep this year than last year, just because I had kind of didn't really have more than 10 days off between going to rodeos, I guess. So I wasn't practicing as hard at home, I guess, as I normally would have, but just because I wanted to just stay healthy and kind of let my mind reset a little bit. But no, the last, I guess 3 weeks I've been running steers at my house. And then I go to the gym probably. I mean, I try to go 7 days a week, but dang sure 5 or 6, this time of year. But yeah, I've been running steers probably every other day. And then for the last 7 days, we've been here in California, and it's been running steers every day, go to the gym every day, and, try to be as physically and mentally prepared as a guy can be, and healthy too, at the same time.
And talking about the healthy side of it, like you said, you don't get a whole ton of time off in between rodeos, and you're going to the gym 5, 6, 7 days a week, bulldogging steers all the time. What kind of recovery stuff are you doing, whether it's like at the gym in pools or say outside the gym at home? stretching. What does that look like for the recovery side?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really had to worry about that till honestly this year has been kind of been sore more than I'd ever have. So I've done a little bit more stretching. Shoot, I got like those red light boots for my horses, and I'm using those on myself more than I am on them. Icing, and I'll do some stretching and some foam rolling, but once I get my blood flowing in the gym, it kind of just, you don't feel sore, and you just feel so much better after getting in there. And we'll roll it out a little bit, but mainly just lifting and stuff. And yeah, getting a lot of sleep, I think, is the main part. When you're sleeping good, you feel better every day. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's one of the most important parts, right? We don't
Yeah.
realize how important sleep is. How much can you bench? Like, I feel like my nightmare would be going to the gym with you.
No, yeah, no, it's nothing crazy right now. I kind of bummed my shoulder up this spring, and no, I haven't been benching too heavy. So yeah, that's that. I wouldn't even want to tell you how much I've been benching here lately. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, right. This guy's probably benching way more than I could ever even imagine.
Yeah.
But tell us about your sport is so physically demanding. We talk about bulldog, and you're jumping off a horse at 30 kilometers an hour on top of a steer. How do you keep yourself healthy with such a long season? And then we talk about 10 days at the NFR back to back to back. What's that like on your body?
Yeah, it's tough. You kind of, for me, I like to kind of read the situation and just look at the ground, and you kind of know what you got, when you're back in there. And, sometimes you got to kind of save yourself. There's sometimes you got to go, or, everything's not going good. And, sometimes riding by is the answer. But that's not very often. And obviously a guy doesn't do that very often, but sometimes that does happen. But, you make the same run on a steer, and as long as your feet placement's good and you're riding a great horse, where you can get a go to have your feet hit the ground good and everything, it's usually not a lot of trouble. Sometimes in the spring when we're running fresh cattle, stuff will kind of hit the fan, and yeah, you might roll an ankle or something, but no, you don't. You just try to take care of yourself, but you just run them. I mean, is what it is. Sometimes it's gonna not feel good. So
I feel like that's just part of being a cowboy. You know what I'm saying?
it is.
Going
Yeah,
to work,
exactly
and you're
right.
going to get beat up and banged up. And even when it goes good, you might get up and be like, son of a bitch, that
Yeah,
hurt,
yeah,
right? Like, and you
yeah.
were just
Oh yeah,
3-5 or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes them runs can hurt. Yeah, because those steers, when you hook the nose, there's not a whole lot there, so your body's hitting the ground hard before they do. But yeah, no, it's not bad. Sometimes a guy takes a wreck, but long as that doesn't happen all the time, you're all right.
Absolutely. And like you said, a lot of it is your horsepower. I kind of want to talk about that because man, I feel like you've just been grinding and grinding and grinding, and it really started to click. And I want to know what the horsepower was like from, say, your 2018 season to even your 2021 season where you ended up 19th in the world, right? Like, you'd worked so hard to even get to that point inside the top 20, top 25. What was the horsepower like for that journey?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been grinding since I started bulldogging when I was 15 years old. It just I kind of got I had the right guys around me that kind of put the confidence in me that if I worked as hard as I possibly could at this deal, that I could make it. And I knew that with my granddad being around and always being there to practice with me growing up, that I was going to have plenty of opportunity to get better. So yeah, I just kind of grinded it out. I amateur rodeoed and circuit rodeoed from when I was 18 till 25, and then finally had enough money saved up to go hit the winter, which wasn't much, but it was enough to get me going. And yeah, I guess in 2018 or something, I went down south, and yeah, I mean, my first year pro rodeoing full time and not working. I mean, I still worked when I was home, but where that was kind of my main source of income was I just bounced around and I mean, guys knew who I was because I always rodeoed in the Northwest, so I was able to get on some horses. But it was a struggle, I guess, but I never have wanted to ever blame horsepower on me not being successful, because I've always had guys let me on. I've never been, that's one cool thing about the bulldogging is, even if a guy's already got four guys on his horse, if there's somebody standing there and needs something to ride, like, he's not going to be left afoot,
Absolutely.
and there's somebody's going to help him out. That can never be your excuse. So yeah, I guess it was kind of a learning curve for the first year in 18, and then got qualified for some stuff in 19, and I started riding some really good horses in 2019, and had a good year. And then 2020 COVID hit, I guess, and the winter started out great for me, and then COVID hit, and I wasn't into everything and didn't have a big winter. So I think that year it was like 12 out of the 15 guys, that were in the top 15 after the winter made the finals. So it was hard. We rodeoed our asses off and didn't make any money, but we went to some rodeos that I've never went back to, so that was cool. And then same deal, 21, 22. Rodeo hard was just right on the bubble, and just never had a breakthrough win where a guy won the 10 or 12,000 that you need to get caught up, into the top 15. So yeah.
And I feel like the
Yeah, man.
bulldogging every year is, sorry to cut you off, Felipe, but like the
That's okay.
bulldogging is always so tight. Like
Yeah, it
in
is.
terms of money won,
Yeah.
man, whether it's in Canada or down in the States, you guys, I mean, you're a tight knit community as athletes, and then dollar wise in the standings, it's always such a knife fight.
Yeah. No, and there's a bunch of dogs out there too, and everybody, you want them guys to win, but you got to obviously grind it out, and eventually it'll work itself out that you'll make it if you work hard enough at it, I think.
Yeah, man. I think your career shows us, like, you're an example of, if you work hard and you're willing to put in the hours that it takes, anything is possible. But talking about, you were naming your seasons off here, I got the numbers. 2021, you make 55K. 2022, you make 67K. 2023, you shatter the record. This guy comes out, makes $283,000 in the year, ends up finishing second at the end of the year, goes into NFR, first NFR, sitting first in the world. We talk about it being, a knife fight, a gunfight. It's so hard to be in that number one position. You break it. Was it Eddie? What happened? What happened in 2023 that you had that breakout year? Do you attribute it to that horse? What happened? What changed?
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I've told it before, but I had a decent winter going last year, and we went to Houston. I didn't really know what I was going to ride. We had some decent horses in the rig, but just not great horses. You know what I mean? And my traveling partner, Mike, had talked to Tanner Milan about riding Eddie. And I'm like, man, I've watched him go and obviously been impressed by him, but I was like, he's kind of crazy. And the other horse I was riding, I had some confidence on, but I'm like, I need something to kind of change things here. Like, I need a kind of a wild card, and so I asked him, he let me on at Houston too. And so the first year I back in there, and at Houston, the steers are pretty fresh that first round, so you kind of got to score a little bit. And I back in there and nod, and we run through the barrier, and I catch my steer to throw him down. I'm just out of the money, broke the barrier. So I come back the second day. I'm like, I got a good one. All I got to do is get out at the barrier, and hit the corner, and I'm like, I'm pulling on this horse. I'm like, I just got to get out at the barrier today and do good, and try to keep rolling on in this rodeo, because it's a progressive rodeo. You got to win to advance to the next round. So I run through the barrier again the second day, and I'm like, I go back, and I'm like, I'm kind of freaking, like, Tanner, I got to do something here. Like, what do I do? How do I get out at the barrier on this horse? And he's like, man, well, you could try nodding when you're backing up. So I'm like, well, I got to do something. So I did it the third day, and I didn't have the best steer, but just kind of worked out. I won the round and advanced, and I just kept it rolling through the rest of the rodeo and ended up winning the 50,000 there. And that put me number one in the world and early in the year. And I had 60 or 70,000 when, you know, it takes 85 to make the NFR. I'm like, I got to win 15,000 from here on out to make the finals. Well, now I'm thinking in my head, like, well, I can't can't be one of those guys that just wins Houston and makes the NFR. Like, I got to prove it. Like, I gotta win the extra 100,000 to show myself that I did it. And, yeah, I kind of just grinded it out and drew good. And, you know, that horse just kind of fit me. He fit me so good, and, traveling with Tanner made it easy. And yeah, everything, everything just worked out. And yeah, I ended up breaking this earnings record last year.
Yeah, man, unbelievable. Someone in the water for those Canadian horses, when it comes to Bulldog and the Great Tyson, Eddie, these are all, they've won horses of the year. But for one sec here, I just want to talk about the barrier. That's what ended up costing your season last year in the final round of the NFR. You ended up breaking the barrier and losing that world championship. What was that moment like for you? You know, most people will never get there. 99% of people will never achieve going, to your Super Bowl, to your World Cup, if you play soccer, to the NFR, if you're a rodeo athlete. But to get there and to be so close to, putting that buckle on your belt, what was that moment like for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a heartbreaker, but, I'd already told myself, you know, like, hey, this isn't all about, this is your first NFR. You know, if you don't win a gold buckle, it's not the end of the world. I mean, even having a $30,000 lead going in, I knew the guys I was competing against had been there and done it. And I mean, I've been watching the NFR since I was, a child. And so I knew there was going to be pressure on me and everything like that. But honestly, I wanted to go out there and prove that I could compete with everybody. And it wasn't the end all be all, you know, winning the gold buckle for me. Obviously that was the goal, but it was one of those deals where I'd already made my mind up before I ran that last steer. And I mean, I watched Wag go out there and he was 3-8, and then Jesse had a stronger steer. And so I'm like, well, I got to win first or second in the go around. I had to be, I pretty much had to be 3-8, or I think I had to be 3-8 to win the gold buckle. And so I'm like, I'm not going to cost myself a gold buckle because I missed the barrier. And that steer was just a little off the pace and I broke it. But yeah, way she goes.
That is the way she goes. Man, and it just goes to show your mental game is locked down. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, just kind of looking at the numbers, it took you 5 years to punch the ticket to go to the NFR. And if you think about a business, it takes, roughly 4 to 5 years to become profitable. So you go from not making enough money to make it to all of a sudden shattering the record to then the next year, you won $6,000 more than last year, this year. And so to go into the finals with that, it's not about the gold buckle. It's about being here for the first time, the guys I get to compete with, where I'm at. How is that feeding into this year, going into the finals again in that number one spot?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that not winning the gold buckle also fueled the fire for this year. I mean, it really did, because I felt like last year, once I got rolling, and I never stopped. I never slowed down. I never took a day off, and so I almost felt a little bit wore out, I guess, by the end of the year. And, as soon as I broke that barrier, it just refueled everything, and I reset. I mean, it was that night, and I'm ready to do it again. I just want to run it back, So then it was obviously make the NFR, and then once I had that done, it's try to break the earnings record again.
Damn.
Yeah, and you really have not stopped, man. Let's talk a little bit about the Canadian title. You win it for the first time here just a few weeks ago in Edmonton. I was there, got to see you make some amazing runs, almost $40,000 won during the finals. What was that like, winning that title for you? And just walk us through your CFR experience.
No, that was awesome. It was great. I made the Canadian finals last year too, and I was season leader going in, and it was kind of the same deal. I was like, this is my first time here, have some fun, and compete and see what happens. And I didn't draw great, and I never did get it rolling last year. I guess I won one round, but other than that, I kind of struggled. So this year going in, I'm like, been there, done this. I'm going to go at them every one of these steers and try to win a Canadian title. And I guess coming in third was kind of nice too, or I might even been fifth, where it was like, all right,
Yeah, fifth. I
I
think
can
you're going
back
in
in here and
fifth.
go at them and let it hang out. And yeah, I got things started off on the right foot and drew good all week. And man, it was a great rodeo. And it's hard to win a Canadian title. I don't know how many Americans have won it. I know of one other guy's all I know in the steer wrestling. And that's obviously the Canadian Bulldoggers are tougher than nails. So yeah, it's pretty awesome to put my name in the history book up there.
I mean, this is kind of cool. I want to touch on it here after this little blurb I'm going to insert. But when I was a kid growing up, it felt like we kind of had a crunch line on when Canadians need to win money because then the Americans come for the summer stretch and then you got to win on all your money in the fall before the rodeos wrap
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But not in the bulldogging, man. The bulldogging has been forever tough. Like I
Yeah.
feel like we've always had really, really good Canadians, like Felipe said, really good dog and horses up at home.
Yeah.
And so then it's really cool to have you guys come up and just mix and mingle with the guys. But you got to go to your first CFR in Red Deer, a little bit smaller venue, 6 rounds, and then they pack up shop and they go to Edmonton. So, and with new dates. So, what was that like for you as a contestant? A, going to this new building coming from Red Deer, and then B, the new dates with it usually being in November, and then kind of right at the back end of our season, early October.
Yeah. I thought Red Deer was the last year, and I liked having it in November and having a little bit of time off. I like it. I liked how it was. I guess not. It's by itself. It's going on by itself. Everybody had a little bit of break from the end of the PRCA season, and so I feel like it highlighted it a little bit more than having it that first week of October. But I was up in Sioux Falls Saturday night, and then I flew home Sunday morning. And me and my wife drove to Edmonton Monday, and I think the back number was Tuesday or something.
Mhm.
So I didn't have any break at all rolling into it this year, which I didn't love, but it was also nice to do it and get it out of the way. But like I said, I think it's better in November. And then as far as the venue, Red Deer I thought it was awesome last year. Like it was packed up. And there was a lot of people there, and it was a lot of fun. I felt like that was a good area. And when that first night we did it at the hockey stadium there in Edmonton, I was like, man, this place is huge. Like, I don't know if this is going to work out. And everybody's like, well, I mean, there's more room for growth here. And I'm like, yeah. And it just felt too big the first night. But by like night three, it was filling up, and like, man, it was awesome. It really was. And I could see why they wanted to move it, because there's a lot more room for growth there. And there was a lot of people, and it was a lot of fun there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You get down there on that dirt level, man, and those seats go way up above you,
Yeah.
hey?
Yeah. It's freaking cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
amazing, man. It was electric in there, and I agree with you. The first night, you're kind of like, man, is this too big? Like, is it gonna
Yeah.
fill up? But as it started rolling through the week, and by that last day, it was just, and it's amazing, man. You guys deserve that. Like, you're the best in the
Exactly.
world. You
Mhm.
deserve to be performing in these
Yeah.
huge stadiums like the Hondo. You kind of alluded to it a
Yep.
little bit. What was that experience like? Cole and I keep talking about there hasn't been a better time to be a part of all this, to be a rodeo athlete, to be involved with rodeo. You guys are performing in these stadiums we never imagined you would be. What was the Hondo, the first inaugural? What was that deal like?
Oh, it was awesome. Same deal. Yeah. It was huge stadium, big crowd. And it was kind of the same deal that first night. It just felt like, okay, I hope this deal, I hope there was a lot of people showing up for the concerts. I felt like, and the rodeo crowd was not great the first night, but by Saturday night, like, there was a lot of people in there. And I don't know, I think that stadium holds like 50,000, just under.
Wow.
But I'll bet there was 25,000 people in there watching the rodeo Saturday night, and it was a good performance, and it was tough. And you know there's only 8 guys, so obviously you're competing against some of the best in the world. And it was cool, and fun concerts afterwards. And these guys have been putting on these rodeos. They've been really trying to take care of the Cowboys so that guys want to come back and do it again. and they really have been. And I hope that they're making some money and everything's working out where we can keep doing this deal. Cause, like you say, we deserve to be there. And rodeo is an old sport with a lot of history. There's a lot of fans that, I think we could tap into and, have it in those cities, people that maybe aren't around it anymore, but be like, oh man, there's a rodeo in town. Like I want to go see that. My granddad used to go watch those, or he used to be an old bronc rider, an old bull rider or something, and just kind of tap back into that. I think that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this kind of leads into a question of, have you seen that Teton Ridge acquired the Cowboy channel?
Yeah,
And
I
like
did. Just seen that this morning, but I haven't read anything on it, but yeah, that's wild.
it is kind of wild. Yeah, I think faces like yours and your event, everybody's events are going to start to be on blast here very soon in front
Yeah.
of a lot of new faces.
Yeah, no, those guys they do a lot on the social media stuff, and yeah, I think I hope it's a good deal. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think it's only gonna be good. But you said something very interesting there about, like maybe your grandfather was an old bronc rider, and the cool thing about our world, about this cowboy lifestyle, is that the majority of us, it's been passed down. It's something you acquire from your dad, from your uncle, from your grandfather, like you, right? Your
Yeah.
grandfather Sid was an amazing bulldogger. He hazed the NFR for Trevor, for guys like Blake.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about him, and you alluded to it earlier on a little bit, but go deeper into it. What kind of force was your grandfather in your life?
Yeah, huge, and he's just as old school as it gets, kind of they don't make him like that no more, that's the kind of guy
Yes,
he
sir.
is. And yeah, he just whatever when it came to steer wrestling and really anything, it was he always was there to help me out whatever I needed. I had to pay for it with something. Nothing ever came free with him, which made me see things a little bit different too. And now I really appreciate it. I sure didn't when it was happening, but it really makes you appreciate it all now. And you can see people that didn't have that kind of upbringing and what it does to them. Just however it changes them. But yeah, he done it all for me. I guess I was in college and started. I'd been steer wrestling with him for 4 years or whatever, and then I went to college and started practicing, and I figured learned everything I could from, and didn't need to go back there. I was going to go off on my own and learn some new stuff, and yeah, I was in college for about 6 months and run out of money and went back home, started working for him and just bulldogging again with him, and realized how much it was, it's an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. There's really nowhere else I could go to be, and I needed to learn and I needed time to grow and practice. Like it wasn't just, I didn't come out of high school weighing 200 pounds, being ready to go win the world. But yeah, I needed to grind for a while to be ready to win at this level.
If there's one story about your grandfather, whether he told it to you or you were there to see it, that really shows who he is, what's the one story you would tell?
Yeah, one of my favorites. He was they used to put on bulldog in school every year, and he rode bareback horses for a long time too. So they did bulldogging schools and bareback riding schools every year. They did two of them or three of them, I think. And they called this guy Country George, and he was a big guy. And like my granddad, when he did a bulldogging school, it wasn't like he was inviting the top prospects. Like it was, if you want to come learn how to bulldog and you want to come jump some steers, come on. And so and it would, they're like, we had one last spring and we had a kid that was 13 and we had a guy that was 35. So, I mean, it's kind of funny, I kind of want to do the same thing, but anyway, so he had this guy, Country George, and he had John W. Jones coming up, legendary bulldogger from here in California. And he'd come, help the guys out and really teach them the technique of bulldogging. And, so this Country George, he'd been coming for like, I think 2 or 3 years, and they couldn't get him to jump off on a steer. He'd always ride by. And I remember he said one day he was I think my grandma was hazing for him at the school, and he rode by and he gets the back end. He said, "Gosh damn, Randy, that felt good." And after he rode by the steer, and so they're trying to get this guy to crawl off, and they can't figure anything out. My granddad says, "Look out, I'm going to show you how to get him off." So my granddad gets on the back, and they're riding double, and they got a good old horse, and a good steer. And so he says, "All right, I'm going to pull you off when we get to the right spot." So they get to start and they get out there, and he knew he wasn't going to get off. So my granddad just jumped off and caught the steer and bulldogged him.
No way.
Yeah.
Just shows him how it's done.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny, man. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah. No.
I love hearing stories of them old boys teaching kids how to bulldog. Did Gramps ever reach across and grab somebody and was like, "Get in the hole now"? Like, did he ever like, "No, you're getting off"?
Yeah. I mean, I was supposed to learn, I guess, my freshman year, and then I broke my ankle. So we had a bulldogging school that spring, but I was still in a cast, so I didn't do it. But I started that fall, and shoot, I'd junior rodeo and stuff when I was a kid, but I'd stopped rodeoing or riding horses for like 4 or 5 years just between sports, and junior high is a little bit different. But he's like, "All right, we're gonna go over here and get off on the fence a few times." So I crawled off on the fence a few times, and he's like, "All right, here we go, let's bulldog." And yeah, I remember crawling off on the first steer, and you don't see, like, the first couple is just black for a lot of guys, and you crawl off and you just hope the horns hit you, and the horns hit you, and next thing you know, your feet hit the ground and you're just in a pile. And that was how it was the first 2 or 3 steers for me, and then I started figuring it out. But yeah, I started just old school, but nowadays I like to get kids to run the dummy about 100 or 1,000 times before you jump one, because then it's just easy.
Yeah.
And it's easy, I feel like, to scare a kid too when he's young, to where he doesn't want to do it again. But those dummies make it so much easier to be able to crawl off and just and the main thing is having a good horse and a good steer, to learn. But yeah.
There was a horse that my cousin had when I was thinking I was going to be a bulldogger and follow their footsteps. I'm 5'8". Like I can barely see over the Preferred to watch you guys nod your noodles. So, but this old gray horse, man, you could blow to the hip and just kind of sit there and look and be like, and he'd just hang. And then you get down in that hole, he'd blow by for you. He was just an old campaigner. It was awesome.
Yeah. No, those are irreplaceable. Yeah. There's nothing. And you see guys with good horses like that to start out with their kids, and they progress so much faster because it's so much easier, But at the same time, you might lose him and not know how to ride a horse. So
yeah, true, right?
Yeah, there's always it's a double-sided edge or whatever you call it.
Yeah, 100%. Now let's go back to the NFR here. What I always imagine this, like your first time running, what was that like? What was going through your head? You come out, you win round 1, right? Which is insane. Like, what was going through your head, and how do you keep your nerves? Because as we all know, the nervous you are, guess what? The nervous your horse is gonna be, right? Like, you need to control your nerves, not only for yourself, but for the most important part of the sport, which is your horse. What was that night like for you? Run us through it.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I mean, from everything, the grand entry, riding the horse in there and carrying the Oregon flag was like, so when you cross under the entry there into the arena, and you can just feel like the smoke and the people are on top of you, and it's like it's unbelievable. It's everything you ever thought it was going to be, and then getting ready to run one, you're just the anticipation, and being last out was like, now I got to wait another 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but obviously at the finals, they just run you like this. It's one guy after another. You look up and another guy's bulldogging. And so it was just like, all right, keep your head on straight here and try to relax. And, cause you're just jacked up, I'm just so ready to run one and everything. When you get on your horse and, you go to ride in the box, your mind clears and it's bulldogging time. But yeah.
Are there
Man.
ever like, are you a guy that are you able to control your negative thoughts? Are there ever thoughts like, I can't do this? I didn't get a good steer. Like, are there those thoughts that you're fighting off, or at this point in the
No,
game, those don't exist?
no. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, yeah, negative thoughts will cross your mind, but you gotta get those out of the way in a hurry. But, no, I feel like for me personally, that I've put the work in, I've put the time in. So you always got that to kind of a blockade on those negative thoughts. They never really can get in when you've got a good foundation. You've always got something, be like, there was a day that you put in that was nobody else has ever done, and you've got that in the back of your mind, like, what do I got to lose?
That's huge. And again, goes back to the mental game that you're rodeoing with, and it shows, right? Look
Yeah.
at the results.
Yeah.
And so, you run that first one, the energy is so electric. What's that thing that you enjoy the most outside of the arena at the NFR? Like, I don't know, like what do you get to do during the day that kind of makes you feel like a rock star, like when you're riding up the alley to carry the flag in or to run your steer?
Man, it's something I worked my whole life for, and it's everything's just surreal out there, to be in Vegas. And yeah, you feel like a celebrity out there. You kind of are during the NFR. I mean, everybody's there for Cowboy Christmas and for the NFR to watch. And it's just it's the culmination of all your hard work, finally coming together. And then at the end of the day, you're out there to make money. And everything is it's just awesome. It's there's nothing like it. And yeah, just it's awesome.
Front to
Yeah, it's
back, good
hard to
time,
put
eh?
into words, I guess. Yeah, just
Yeah, I can't even imagine. But tell us about also the like how tiring it must be for you guys. We've talked to other competitors here. You got to go sign autographs. You have sponsors that you need to meet. Cowboy Christmas, and you got to get your horse ready. And what's a typical day like for you? Like you wake up at what time, and then run us through it. Like what happens day one of the NFR?
well, I mean, I've only been once, so I can't speak on it as good as everybody. And last year on day 2, I got sick, and I was sick until day 8.
No,
So
what happened? Did you eat some bad nachos or?
no, I don't
Did
know
you go to
what I
Fremont
got.
Street?
COVID, man. I was living on Fremont Street. That was the problem. They had us put up on a hotel on Fremont Street, and yeah, it was rough, dude.
Oh.
It was smoky, and yeah, me and my wife both, we got sick. And yeah, so we were laid up quite a bit of the time. And I didn't have a ton of sponsors last year, so it wasn't like crazy signing. But I'd get up, we get up about 7, 8 o'clock, go get some breakfast, drink some coffee, start normal, and then I'll go work out. Or if we got signings to do, you'll Uber down there, drive down to the convention center. I didn't have horses to take care of. I got Tanner out there hazing for me, and it's his horses, so he's taking care of all the horses. And um, I just got to worry about getting to the right spots at the right time. My wife's got all the scheduling handled, and yeah, just show up and have fun. That's what we're there for,
Absolutely.
and make a lot of money.
Amen to that, right? I mean,
Amen.
old
Yeah,
Tanner's looking for that mountain money. He's got
dang
diapers
right,
to buy.
dang right.
Well, that's interesting that Cole says that mount money because we tried like we hope that people that are listening to this podcast are not just rodeo people, Maybe there are people that have never been to a rodeo before, and
Yeah.
that's one of our desires and wants is to bring new blood into rodeo and show another side of you guys. But speaking of mount money, for people that don't know what that is, explain how that works. When you ride another guy's horse, what is the payback? What's the deal? Is it different for every guy, or is it always the same across the board?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, so steer wrestling, I don't know what it is in the other events. It might be different depending on who you are, but like if you're a young guy and you just got done playing college football and you want to start steer wrestling, you don't have to have a horse to do it. You just the way it works is you'll show up to the rodeo and enter, and you walk around and find somebody with a horse and ask them to ride, and hopefully they say yes. And if you go out there and win, you're going to pay them a percentage of what you win. You're going to pay them 12.5% for the bulldogging horse and 12.5% for the hazing horse. So you're just going to pay 25% of your prize money to them, and you're going to keep the other 75%.
And is there any fee for the guy that does the hazing for you?
Yeah. I mean, it'll get a little bit more complicated there. So, like, say you have your own set of horses, and you've got somebody hazing for you on your horse, then, and it depends on the guys, but it's then it would be 6.5% to him if he's hazing on your horse. But it's just it's an eighth per side, so 12.5%.
Very cool.
12.5%. And for a horse like Eddie, what's it like getting mounted on him? There must be a lineup of guys that want to get on him. Like, how does Tanner choose who gets on and who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time we've got a crew of guys. Me, Tanner Milan, Ryan Shuckberg, and Stephen Colling. We're all riding him all year this year. So the majority of the time he's already full. Four steers a rodeo performance or whatever is plenty for a horse. So it's not a whole lot of guys are getting on as well. But sometimes when we're at a rodeo and one guy's not there, whatever, then yeah, he'll let guys will call him and ask to get on, and then he'll let whoever he chooses get on to ride. So
What's that been like,
Yeah.
rodeoing with the boys from back at home? Shuckberg and all them.
it's awesome. Yeah, it really is. They're great guys, and no, it's just been a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like we said, the Bulldoggers are a tight community, and some of my favorite people to be around because they're no bullshit. They'll tell you exactly how they're feeling and what they're doing,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just good people hanging around the Bulldogging.
Yeah.
Man. It really is good people. We don't want to take up too much of your time, brother. Thank you so much for coming on and allowing us to learn a little bit more about you. At the end of every episode, the podcast is called "Should Have Been a Cowboy." We ask people that aren't cowboys if they were a cowboy, what kind of cowboy they would be. And since you obviously are a cowboy, a professional cowboy, if you weren't a cowboy, what would you be doing with your life?
Realistically, I would be either farming or building houses. But what I would really like to be doing is professional golfing in Hawaii or somewhere like that.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
What are you shooting on the links?
Oh, probably about 87, 88
Oh.
on a
Oh
normal
my
day.
God. The second question is, do you use hockey sticks as clubs?
No, I've never played hockey before, so definitely not.
That's
Dang.
so awesome, brother. I
Yeah.
never would have imagined you'd say a golf player. What do you think it is about golfing that maybe it's because it's how difficult it is? That's what it probably is. You like difficult jobs.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why, but yeah, I get a kick out of it, and I just want to best. So like you just want to keep in the golf it's so hit and miss. Like you've got to hit so many shots to be good at it, and obviously I'm not even close to enough time to do that. But it's a fun break from rodeo. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a mind break, a little bit of a different day on
Yeah.
the course, walking around, using your
Yeah.
body different. Yeah, golf's a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again for hopping on with
Yeah.
us, Dalton. We're excited to watch you in Vegas, and we wish you the best of luck.
Nope. Thank you guys.
Yes, sir. Good luck. Thanks.
Dalton Massey, Bulldogger extraordinaire.
What a champ. Number one man in the land.
Yeah.
What a beauty. This is the best part about these podcasts for me is the last question. Like it's so funny. I didn't never expected him to say golfer. Like he's way too tall to be a golfer.
I know, right? And it is funny because there are a lot of Cowboys do love golf. You
Yeah.
got time to kill on the road. It's a good time, but
Shad almost died in a golf.
yeah, exactly right. Got his clubs hung up on his hoverboard. So like golf is a great pastime activity for a cowboy, but I don't know very many that would maybe want to just be one professionally.
Yeah, it's so interesting that he said that. Just like when Josh said school teacher to me, I'm still
Yeah, just
itching my
like,
head over that one. Like,
Really? Okay.
yeah, like okay. But anyways, buddy, another great episode. Can't wait for our next guest, and we'll be back soon.
Heck yeah. Should have been a cowboy, everybody.